What makes a child grow up into the human being he becomes? Of course, he's the confluence of a genetic pool that goes back for thousands and thousands of years. His environment has an influence on him, of course. But what makes him become the person he becomes is that he becomes what he thinks about most of the time. It's as simple as that. We become what we think about most of the time. And that's the strangest secret.
Paradigm. It's a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual.
It controls almost everything we do. And so unless and until we understand that, we're not going to have a big difference in our life.
Most people tiptoe through life, hoping to make it safely to death.
Now you have to ask yourself, why is it that there's such a very small select group of people that really win? Something is in you wants to express itself in a greater way, and you're not letting it out. There's some of you see yourself in positions where you can earn all kinds of money, and you may be broke. And a paradigm saying you can't do that. And so you're going to have this argument going inside. We're going to show you how things can happen where they're not supposed to happen. They're not supposed to, but they do happen. So you see, you got to go where you've never been. I sat down with one of these one day, and I said, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. Well, we're talking to you, and you're all over the world.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of our special edition Paradigm Shift event. I'm Simon Belston, Director of Marketing for PGY Consultants, and I'm so thrilled to be back with you for day 2, where we're sharing highlights from our last in-person Paradigm event, which again was back in January of 2020. Now, yesterday was all about paradigms, and we shared a 24-minute clip of Bob teaching paradigms from that event. Fiona went on to go a lot deeper on the contents, the concepts that we shared, and we gave you a wonderful assignment to watch Bob teaching goals from that event. And I do hope that you had time to do your homework, but if not, don't worry too much. You will get a chance to catch up on it later today. In this recording, we're going to play for you right now is from Sandy and teaching goals. So Sandy's clip is going to be played in a few moments, and Fiona and I will meet you on the other side to bring it even deeper for you. So here is Sandy teaching goals.
So look at this, and I want you to really ask yourself, have I come up with my C goal? Bob went over this. We're going to review a few things here because repetition is the key to learning. So A-type goal, what's that? You already know how to do it, right? Done it before. You're living in a world of you already know how to do it. What page is this on, you guys, in your books? 65. Okay, page 65. So you know how to do it. So then most people, when they want to venture out, they go to a B-type goal. And a B-type goal, you don't know how to do it, but you know you're going to do it, because if you come up with a plan and you move something a little this way and something a little that way, you can make it work. When I was in the boardrooms of banks, the whole board of directors would sit there and spend days trying to figure out how to have a 5% improvement from last year. I mean, literally weeks, how to have a 5% improvement. Now, how boring is that? It's like so unexciting. And but that's where most people go. Now, you might have some goals, like you want to get a new car, you want to get a new house, you want to get a puppy, I don't know. But you go for it and you'll enjoy it, but it's not a goal in the way we're talking about it. And when I went to that seminar, 2000, what was the date? August 18, 2006. And I went to that seminar and I latched on to the goal. Be in the inner circle of this company. Be Bob Proctor's closest advisor. Create a program with him. It just blew my mind with the idea that I could possibly do that. But Bob kept saying, whatever you really want, you can have. Whatever you really want, you can have. And I latched onto it. And I look back a lot and I think, what were the pivotal moments in my journey to this point? And that was absolutely one of the pivotal moments. Because if I hadn't latched on to such a huge goal that I love so much, I would have stopped short. I would have stopped much shorter than when I am now. And so you got to really lock onto that. So what is required to actually get to the C-type goal? Fantasy, theory, fact. Now, that's the creative process. And it's all about wants. What are wants? Wants come from our spiritual essence. And spirit is for expansion and further expression. In that seminar in Vancouver, Washington, I remember Bob saying that for the first time. And I thought, he said, spirit wants expansion and further expression. He said, that's why you want to do more. That's why you want to be more. That's why you want to have more. And I thought, thank God there's nothing wrong with me, because I always wanted more. And I would always hear, don't you have enough? Are you ever going to be satisfied? For goodness sake, just enjoy what you have. But spirit wants to grow, always. That's our spiritual essence. So we got to latch on to this. What's the C goal? It's something you really want, and you want it in your heart, but you don't know how to do it. You have no idea how to do it. So what do most people do? What do most people do? They stop short and they just block that out. They think fantasy is ridiculous. And I thought it was ridiculous. When I was in that seminar and Bob's talking about fantasize, use your imagination, and I flashed back to conversations with my dad, and he was a very serious intellectual man. And we would have lots of discussions where you'd reason through, and I just pictured talking to Dad and saying, well, Dad, I came up with this goal because I sat there and I let my imagination fly and I fantasized and I came up with this picture of what I wanted to do. And I could just see him going, what are you talking about? And then I could see him asking me, well, who gave you this idea? Oh, Bob Proctor. And he's like, well, what are his credentials? Well, he didn't even finish high school. I remember Bob telling this story about, and maybe he told it here this weekend, but I absolutely love it because he was doing a seminar and an executive of the company was just looking at him like, arms crossed and like, I'm not buying this. So Bob went up to him at the break and said, okay, I can see we're not jiving here. Do you want to talk about it? And the guy says, well, do you mind if I would be frank? And Bob says, no, we don't have much time. Be frank. And the guy says, well, I just cannot figure out how I could learn anything from someone who makes so many grammatical errors. And Bob says, oh, I can help you there. I didn't go to school. And I absolutely love that. That is so absolutely perfect. And the guy, he asked him what his goal was, and the guy said, well, I want a parking spot in the bottom of my office building. And Bob said, well, for God's sake, if you'd listen, I could show you how to buy the building, And so, I was kind of on that edge where it was like, should I really do what this guy is telling me? It seems really crazy and ridiculous. But then I heard him say that he would learn so much from Earl Nightingale. And he made a decision that I like this guy's results. And so I'm going to do what he tells me to do, until I find out he's lying or he doesn't know what he's talking about. And so he did exactly what Earl Nightingale told him to do. And so that's what I decided to do. That's what Phil Goldfine did a long time ago. And look at the results that he's gotten. And so I said right on yesterday, suspend disbelief. And just don't block that out. Because here's the trap. If you walk out of this room and you have just a B goal, and you're not continuing to find your C goal, here's what's going to happen. You start with an A goal where you know what you're doing. You already know how to do it. So then you're like, oh, I'm going to stretch a little. I'm going to go to the B goal, what I think I can do. And then you go back home and you talk to the people in your life that are in harmony with your paradigm, and they're not going to support you. They're not going to support you because, for one thing, if you change, they have to change. And it wasn't their choice, so they don't want to change. So after maybe a very short period of time, you go back to the A goal because you feel more harmony. You feel more comfortable in that place. And then you start to feel bad. Oh gosh, I fell back so quickly. I'm going to try again. I'm going to go for that B goal. And then you start thinking about it, and then pulling you back to the A goal, to the status quo. And you start thinking about it, and you're like, well, you know what? It's not even what I really want. So I'm not going to overcome the hurdles that are required. I'm not going to let go of my friends. I'm not going to, face the criticism and walk through it because I'm comfortable. And I had been at those points where I was like, it's not so bad in the law office. I mean, there was one moment when I was really moving forward on creating this program, thinking into results. And I had a mentor in the company that was helping me, and I would share all my ideas. And then one day I see a flyer that I wasn't supposed to see. And it was advertising a program exactly like my idea. And so that this person had taken the idea and was going out to market it. And I had never had anything like that happen to me in my life. And I felt so betrayed. I felt like I got punched in the stomach. And literally where you can't breathe. It was just such a, oh my God, did this really happen? And for about 24 hours, I thought of going back to where I was. And I kept rationalizing in my mind, the paradigm was just high gear. It wasn't so bad. You had a good practice, blah, blah, blah. You can't afford to do that because this is your life. And you've got to live this life who you really are. What is the purpose of Goal last night? It's to grow and introduce yourself to a part of you don't even know is there right now. You got to introduce yourself to that, and you do that through the right kind of goal. Because if you don't, you're going to get stuck right there at the A goal. Sometimes it's hard. Often it's extremely hard to go out and pursue something that you love, but you have no idea how to do it. Going from the law to the personal development industry felt like such a huge jump for me. But that's what I latched onto with my imagination, and I fantasized. That's the first step, fantasize. And just like, what do I really want? There are no limitations whatsoever. And so then the second step to the creative process is that you turn it into a theory. So, okay, here's the theory. I'm going to create this program with Bob Proctor, and we're going to take it all over the world, and it's going to be the most powerful transformational program of its kind. And I'm going to do this with Bob Proctor. And this is in my conscious mind, and I'm playing around with it, and I'm reasoning with it, and I'm, fitting it into exactly what I want. But to turn this into a goal, to move it from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind, you have to pass a test. And it's a two-step test. Am I able? Do you believe you're able? Yes. I mean, we've been talking about that all weekend. And Anders, I love that demonstration with the light bulb and like the power we have locked within us. So I think that's an easy question after you've studied. Yes, I'm absolutely able. So then you got to ask the tough question, am I willing? Are you willing to do what it takes? Okay, so you've got your goal in your mind and you don't know how to do it. And now you have the opportunity that's going to take you there. And you know this is what you wanted. You absolutely know. But like when Bob's saying, oh, you're going to go out on stage in Romania, you're going to teach for an hour. I mean, I was freaking out, but I knew that was going to move me towards what I wanted. We were at Delray Beach, Florida, and I want you to picture this is you. And this is your goal. And a big opportunity is right in front of you. And I was there, and it was a consultant training. And I went into the restaurant to get some coffee, and I didn't even really know Bob Proctor. I didn't even know he knew me. He certainly didn't know me in the seminar in 2006. This was in June of 2007. And I hear my name, Sandy, and I'm turning around, and Bob's over there, and he's calling me, and I'm like, wow. And he says, are you available for lunch tomorrow? So I said, sure. So we sat down for lunch the next day, and we're just talking about dogs because we both love dogs. And just chitter-chatter, and he ordered lunch. And he ordered grilled cheese sandwich with cottage cheese and tea with milk in it. And I thought, that is disgusting. And then I sort of harkened back to my childhood with grilled cheese and tomato soup, and you dip the cheese in the soup. And so I thought, well, I'm going to order. I ordered the exact same thing. And we're chowing down, and I've just put a nice big spoonful of cottage cheese in my mouth, and he changes the course of the conversation. He says, okay, well, I've been doing some research. I heard you want to create a program with us. I looked into your background as a lawyer. I was impressed with that, impressed with the possibility of what we could do. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to form a company. You're going to run it. It's going to be called Life Success Corporate. You're going to own 25%. It's going to cost you $500,000. You're going to create the program. You're going to pay for all the production. You're going to do all the work to produce the program. And that's the deal. And so the cottage cheese was right about here. And I was trying not to choke. And I just stayed really calm. And he commented later many times that my face did not change expression at all. I just sat there, you know. And inside my head, my brain is just going 100 miles an hour on, okay, I don't have $500,000 sitting in a bank account. I do run my law practice. And what do you mean 25%? And I'm paying for the production costs? I mean, you know, and it's all, but I just stayed there. And he goes, but you don't have to answer now. And I said, okay. And we went back to talking about dogs. Well, after the lunch, I went back to the trainings. And then that night, I didn't talk to anybody about this. And I started journaling. I think it was around midnight that night. And I started journaling. And I wrote in my journal that I was going to do this. I didn't know how, but I was going to do this. And so fast forward, next morning, we're in a seminar that Bob's doing with Michael Beckwith. And Bob walks out on stage, and I'm way back there, and the room is really, really dark, and there's bright lights coming up on stage. And Bob walks out, and he says, our company's growing, and we've attracted this lawyer. And he looks back there. I don't know how, but I swear he's staring right in my eyes. And he goes, we do have a deal, don't we? And I just nodded my head, yes. I don't know. I don't know what caused me to nod it the right way instead of no way. And I said yes. And he's like, oh, we have a deal. Now, are you willing? Because I'll tell you what happened to my physical body after I nodded my head. Yes. I started convulsing. I'm not kidding you. My knees started shaking together. And that afternoon, he's introduced me to the whole team, and we're standing in a circle, and I'm like this, you know. What would you do in that situation? And if you hadn't made a committed decision, if I hadn't made a committed decision, what are the odds I would have nodded my head yes instantly? Because sometimes you have mere seconds to make the decision and grasp onto your opportunity. What would you do? You've got to prepare yourself for that moment. It's not about getting lucky. What is luck anyway? Preparation meeting opportunity. You got to prepare yourself. So are you going to pass this test? Because if not, you're not going to turn it into a goal. And if it's just a theory, nothing happens. But if you turn it into a goal, what do we have to do? We've got to impress it on our subconscious mind. We've got to impress it over and over. We've got to see ourselves living there. It has to be the workshop from which we view the world, so we can see things differently, so we can get different results. Are you prepared to do that? Because here's where the magic happens. If you do that, then your goal turns into a fact. And it does that through the creative process. So you do the work. You get emotionally involved with it. You change your vibration. Nobody else can do this. and you maintain that elevated vibration, then the creative process takes over and you let go. This is the part where you let go. Remember I said yesterday, this is where you start to experience more joy and more ease in your life because you've done the work. And so then it's a fact in your world. And then what do? You go back and you fantasize some more. How do we take it to the next level? And this is the way you continue. And it's a path of growth. And you know, there's a chapter in your book, in your workbook, at the back. It's taken from Troward's book, and it's a chapter on yourself. I encourage you to study that. It's kind of heavy reading, but he says there at one point, he said, the whole chapter is on the benefit of just being yourself. And he says, isn't it far easier just to be who you are than to try to be somebody else? Because that's part of the fear that holds us back. I can't do it. Look, you know, Bob Proctor, look how he teaches. There's no way I could possibly do that. But you got to be yourself. Exactly where you are in that moment of opportunity is exactly where you need to be. Exactly what you're going to deliver is exactly what the people that you're going to deliver it to need. You've got to be yourself. And Troward says, if you are yourself and you start where you are, because it's the only place you can start, do what you can do today. And then you're engaged in a natural progress of growth, one step after another. And tomorrow you'll do more. You do what you can today, and you keep stretching and stretching because you understand the creative process. You understand the power you're working with and how you wield that power. Does that make sense? You gonna do that? Okay, yeah. Now, here's a rocket going to the moon. President Kennedy asked Dr. Wernher von Braun, how do we get a rocket to the moon? He didn't give him some big complicated answer. What did he say? All you have to know is where you're going. You don't have to know how to get there. So what do you really want? Now I want you to take a minute now. And I want you to, have you written down your C goal? Okay, I want you to go back and look at where you wrote it down. If you haven't written it down, write it down. And I want you to really ask yourself, is this something I absolutely love? And when you ask yourself that, do not allow the how to get in your mind at all. Just push it out. Is this something I really love? Am I stretching enough? I want you to really use your imagination and your will. And I want you to imagine this has already happened. You don't have to figure out how to get there. You know, Anders, he says, how do you do an illusion? He says, I go to the impossible and I work backwards. That's what we do. With our imagination, I'm already there. You're already there. And then we work backwards to figure out how to get there. But you got to get there first, and you got to get there in your subconscious mind. So take a few minutes now, look at your goal, and ask yourself, am I really, really stretching enough? Okay?
All right, well, that was absolutely incredible. And that lesson on goals gives us a great idea of both setting and goal achieving. Fiona, it's all yours now.
Sure, Simon. Let me bring up my screen. Okay, so when we talk about a paradigm shift, we can never talk about a paradigm shift without having definite goals. And if we're going to create the life that we want, and we can absolutely do it, we want to make part of our self-image that I am a goal achiever, that you are a goal achiever. And when we start understanding goals, goals are for us to grow, not for us to get. The getting comes from the growing of the person that I become. And goal setting itself is an intellectual exercise. It does not have all that much power. Now, it's important because we have to set it first. But goal achieving is a lawful process, and everything happens by law and not luck. And when we set a goal, we have to know that we are going to achieve it We have got to know. And if anybody's sitting there right now saying, well, how do we know? We've never done it. Well, you have to go to the unknown. That's where the magic happens. It does not happen in your present paradigm. So I'm going to say it again. Okay? We have to accept the idea that we are achieving this goal. It's not, oh, that'd be fun if I can achieve that goal. No, we come from a place of being fused with the goal. And when we are fused with goal, we are one with it. And years ago, I had one of my best lessons that I could tell you that Bob taught me, and I had achieved the goal, and it was a big goal for me. And he congratulated me in one of the trainings, and I said to him, I said, I wish I did this all the time. And he said, well, why don't you? I said, I guess I don't know. And he said, because you haven't accepted the idea. I said, that's it, probably. He said, this isn't rocket science. This is very easy once you understand it. He said, I want you to start accepting every idea now from this moment on. And at that point, I accepted it. I accepted the idea of, accepted the idea within a millisecond, basically. And to this day, any goal that I have, I just accept it. When we looked yesterday at, we were talking about the stick figure, and we get to accept or reject any idea. Well, I told everybody how important that was. Well, that's what I did with Bob. I accepted it. I didn't let it just go over my head and say, oh, I don't really get that. Or I would just keep asking follow-up questions. That's how you really achieve these goals. But I want everyone to make a definite decision that you are a goal achiever and you are going to achieve the life that you want. Because greatness is inside of you and it's dying to come out. That's why you are probably on this workshop with us this week. Now, if we look at our goals, where you are now to where you want to go, so basically, these are the two most important parts of goal achieving, that you have to understand where am I, where do I want to go, right? And the only thing that we have to fill in that gap, in the middle, which is the paradigm. And the paradigm is presently basically how you are conditioned, and the paradigm is stored in your subconscious mind. Now, our subconscious mind creates behavior to all our results, basically. So we want to really understand how to change it. And that's why paradigms and goals are so intertwined with each other. I would love everybody right now to think about what you want. And I want you, the rest of today, to come from the paradigm like you've already achieved this. And as you come from that paradigm, I am earning 100,000 a year, but I want to earn 100,000 a month, just for today. Okay, I would like you to do that, and I challenge and encourage you to think like you are already at that, become that person. That's going to start shifting your paradigm. Now, once again, what is a paradigm? So a paradigm is a multitude of habits that start in a section of our subconscious mind, and it impacts just about every area of our life. Our paradigm has control over, almost full control over us. And it's a mental program that has absolute control over our habitual behavior. And almost all of our behavior is habitual. So we want to understand that now with our goals. So our goals are what you want to, what you want. Basically, the things that wake you up in the morning. You want to have this healthy obsession, and you want to really have your goals drive you. We talked yesterday a little bit about wants, and our goal is really our want. And what we are going to do is bring our want out of us. and really bring it deeper and deeper, where it is a healthy obsession. Where when you wake up in the morning, you are thinking about the person that you want to become, because you really get your sights locked in with, with laser focus on your goals. It's impossible for it not to happen if you can do it that way. The only way it does not happen is if somebody gives up on it. Now, when we are going through the goal achievement process, we have to enter the spirit of it. Now, when we talk about entering in the spirit, we are falling in love with the idea. I can take you back when I initially got into this. I shared the story a little bit yesterday. He said, well, what is it that you want? And I said, I'm not really sure, but I think I want to create a life of freedom. And, years later, when I'm looking back at the journey that I took, I knew, why I did it. I said, what do you think of, living a life of freedom? And he said, you basically fell in love with it. You need to fall in love with the idea. He said, you were in the spirit of that idea of freedom. And even though you didn't know you were in love with it, but that's what drove you. And then, it becomes in harmony with it on a conscious level, and then on a subconscious level. And that's why you saw it in your physical reality. Well, any goal we have, it is so it is the goal. We want to enter in the spirit of it. We want to enter the spirit of the goal. We want to fall in love with that goal. And if we accept the idea that if one person can do it, anybody can do it, and that means you can do it, then if we fall in love with that goal, we are bringing it to the goal to us. It's not that we are going to the goal. The goal is coming to us just as fast as we are coming to it. And once again, that it is your goal, and the best way to get into the spirit of it is think about a great movie you've seen. You were on the edge of your seat. That's when you are in the spirit of it, okay? So when you are totally in flow, when you fall in love for the first, remember when you fell in love for the first time, where it was, constantly on your mind. That's basically entering in the spirit of your goal, okay? Now, there's three types of goals, as Sandy talked about. There is a goal, which is a goal that you've already done. It's you've already basically achieved it before. So this type of goal, it doesn't stretch you. So you could do it, but there's another type of goal, which is a B-type goal, which is a goal you think you can do. I've never done it, but if I work a couple of hours or make a couple of more phone calls, I can get there. So that is basically a B-type goal. And but what PGY Consultants encourages you to set is absolutely the C-type goal, right? So these are the goals basically that really will stretch you. They make you really excited, but scared at the same time. They are something what you really want. Okay, it's how you really want to live your life. It's really where you want to trade your time or trade your life, I'd say, because our goals, we are trading our life for what we do. And whether you realize it or not, whatever that you're doing, you are trading your life for it. And if that is the case, we want to create big goals, right? And we want to create this amazingness that come out of you, because if we are not, we're just getting by. We're not thriving. We're just existing. And of course, you do not know how it's going to happen. If you know how it's going to happen, it's either going to be an A goal or B goal, right? So when we set the so-called C goal, you have no idea of how it's going to happen, where you keep find the other self, where you keep digging deep inside of you. You get your higher faculties working with you because your higher faculties are going to get you to the goal. They are going to get you to tap into that other self that's going to become that person that you will not even recognize who you used to be in 6 months from now. Okay. Now, if we are going to achieve a goal, we have to understand this. We have a power flowing through us, and that power we get to direct what we, so we get to when that power flows through us, we get to direct what we're thinking about, and then those thoughts come out into the universe, and the universe gives us exactly the want that is in harmony with those thoughts. Those thoughts will create a feeling, and those feelings give us exactly what's harmony with those feelings, and then we get our body into action, right? It's a 3-step process, and this is by far the most important lesson we can learn, and it's a 3-step process, and it's called attitude. So our attitude is what's creating our results. Now, most people out there are letting the outside world dictate their attitude. When things are going well, they feel good. When things are not going as well, they feel down. Well, we want to really get in control of our attitude, because attitude, as we shared just now, is a 3-step process that is essential to achieve a goal. And this is the idea we call praxis. So praxis means, if you've never heard that term, it's integrating your beliefs and behaviors to creating the results you want. And attitude is by far the #1 lesson I learned from Bob. Bob told us, he said, it's impossible to create big things without an amazing attitude. And it's not just an optimistic attitude. It's this attitude of, no matter if you're having adversity, you are still in control of yourself. And we want to really let our want to dictate our results from the inside out. So we want to be in control of our subconscious mind. That's called subjective control. And the only way we can be in subjective control is being in control of our attitude. And that's when something that is not in harmony with our goal, we say, get out of here. We are not accepting this. Remember, from day one, we can accept or reject. And we want to practice accepting what we want. And we also want to practice of rejecting what's not in harmony with us. And we definitely want to dictate our inner state and not let the outside world control it. Because that's where a lot of people drop their goal right away. Now, when we talk about our goal, we have to understand our goal is meant for us to be achieved. You will not get an idea that you cannot achieve if you stick to it. Now, our wants come from the essence of who we are. They start in our subconscious mind. And this is so important. I want you to really pay close attention to your want. So your want is meant for you. It basically starts in your subconscious mind, and it communicates to your conscious mind that says, hey, this is what our next step is. You are ready for this a big want. It is your time. Now, if you accept that idea, because remember in our conscious mind, we can accept or reject. If you accept that idea and you start building that want, this is the creation process. You see, I am now turning my annual income into my monthly income, and I'm earning 100,000 a month from this point on. And you start building that and repeating it and imagining it and practicing it with your higher faculties every day. Remember, one of our faculties is our imagination. We can originate this idea with getting in a relaxed state and we keep saying to ourselves and seeing ourselves at 100,000 or more every month. And as we do that, we now, through the repetition of doing it over and over and over again and burning this idea. But how do we burn this idea in our mind? You know, we have to practice it throughout the day. How do we practice it? We ought to suggest it several times a day. You know, every couple of hours, have an alarm clock on your phone and keep saying to yourself, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm earning 100,000 or more every month, and I love it. I have now turned my annual income into my monthly income, and it feels absolutely amazing. And as you do that through repetition, well, I don't know how long it will take it. It could, you know, take a day, it could take 6 months, but dependent on how your paradigm is set. But through the repetition, you turn the want into a desire. And now the desire is not just in your subconscious mind, it's in the universal subconscious. And once it's in the universal subconscious mind, the whole universe conspires on your behalf to make this a reality. And once it is, it basically changes your vibration. You know, your vibration dictates what you attract, and guess what? All your conditions, circumstances, and environment change. Now, the warning is that most people out there, they let go of their wants right away. They won't follow through because they lack discipline. And basically, discipline is giving yourself a command and saying, this is what I'm going to do, and I will assure you of this. If you're going to achieve something much greater than what you have right now, you have got to commit to creating discipline. And I promise you, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because I was one of the most undisciplined person. But when you fall in love with that idea, it is going to change your life. I'm going to tell you this. Your results are going to change, and then you could do this over and over again. You know, once you change your paradigm, change one of your paradigms, you can basically do it over and over again. Now, what we have to do is start thinking and acting like that person. So that's why Einstein said, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get into that reality. Well, when I started repeating it, I am so happy and grateful now that I've turned my annual income into my monthly income. What I do is I automatically go on that frequency. Now, the paradigm is going to bring me back right away, right? What I have to do is the repetition. Eventually, I'm going to start staying there. And yesterday we talked about using our will, holding that one image on the screen of our mind without the distraction of any other image. Well, the repetition of practicing these higher faculties. Just for today, I've talked about imagination, and we've talked about will. That's how eventually you're going to match that frequency, and the reality of what you want cannot help but get you that reality. Now, this is very important. Your mind and thoughts must operate on the same frequency of your goal. What does that mean? That means I have to think like that person. A great way to do it is ask yourself at the end of the day, did I think and act like that person? Did I have the attitude of the person who turned their annual income into their monthly income? Did I have the discipline of the person who turned their annual income into their monthly income? Did I have the activities that did it? Because without taking action, it's basically a delusion. This slide is so important in the goal achievement process. It's your minds and thoughts must always operate on the same frequency of your goal. And this is going to be a great prequel to what Bob's going to talk about tomorrow on frequencies. you want to really pay close attention tomorrow from this slide. This slide will basically give you the right image as Bob's discussing it, okay? Now, you don't have to know where you want to go, but if you are going to achieve these big C-type goals, you must really want it. Your want has to basically go through the roof. You've got to be passionate about it. You've got to have a big love for it, and you've got to be willing to pay the price. Okay? Weak want will create weak result, and great want, will create great result. You will, of course, need to battle your paradigm, and you will knock it on its butt. You really will need to fight your paradigm. The key with the paradigm is, if the paradigm is stronger than the want, the paradigm will always win. But if the want is stronger than the paradigm, the want basically wins every single time. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. This is a great understanding for you and a great way to hold yourself accountable. If my want is stronger than my paradigm, my want will win every single time. But if the paradigm is stronger than the wants, then the paradigm will win. If you think back to a time where you've let go, you said, well, I was going to do this, but I never did. It's only because you never allowed yourself to burn that idea, burn that want into a desire. Because that will really make you to make a commitment that you're going to commit to making your wants so much stronger than your paradigm. And I promise you, as you do that, big things are ahead of you. Everything that has happened in your life has been absolutely essential to prepare you for what's about to come. And I really believe there's greatness inside of you. I really believe there's greatness surrounding you. And there's so many people that want to help you. The universe is here to serve you. And I want to tell you this. The universe is here to serve you. It wants you to win. But you've got to go and think and act like that person. And as you do that, you are going to achieve these goals. Now, last thing on goals is that we have to fuse with it. We have to become one with it. We think and like that person. We have to accept the idea that I have already achieved this goal. Now, we focus on getting better. Number 2, we have to create identity-based behaviors. I have to start thinking and acting and behaving like the person who would achieve my goal. And number 3, I am process-driven. Now, I don't have to worry about when the goal is coming. I already know because I'm fused with it. I'm one with it. I'm already acting, and I'm changing my self-image to that person. And now I do the action steps. 3 to 6 action steps every day. And as you do that, you're going to become a goal achiever. And one last thing is that your spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect. I want you to accept this right away, because this is so important. Once you understand, if my spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect, then there's nothing that I cannot accomplish. It requires no modification or improvement. It is all-knowing. It is all-powerful, and it is ever-present. It is the real you. Now, are you truly who you pretend to be? Have we accepted the idea that if I could do it, you could do it? If Bob can do it, you could do it. If Fiona can do it, you could do it. If millions of people can do it, you could do it. Right? Your time is right. Now, fall in love with that idea, fall in love with your want. Create a connection with it because it wants you to go enjoy your life. And life is waiting for you to go create such an impact. All right. Okay, Simon, I'm going to turn it back to you to bring us to a landing.
Right. This is such an incredibly powerful and important lesson, and I'm excited about how beautifully you just went deeper into it, and you all asked the most important question: what do you want now? We're so conditioned to think about what other people want for us, what people expect of us, and our current circumstance is that a lot of times we have trouble coming up with what we truly want and then turning that into a desire. So what is your advice or recommendation on getting to our true wants so that we can set a goal that is worthy of us and light this on fire?
Okay, sure. It's a really good observation because our wants come from the essence of who we are, and we want to really understand that. Bob used to always say, if you can run faster. And if you could jump, you want to jump higher. And of course, if you sell, you want to sell more. If you're helping people, you want to find out how you can help people in a better way. And once we understand, we can have these wants. Once we understand we can have these wants, they come from the most highly evolved part of ourselves, and our wants are here to be fulfilled. So if I have a want, I know I can do it. Now, I ask the question, do I really want it? And if I really want it, I say, okay, I accept that right away. And I encourage everybody to understand that want is here for you to achieve, to enjoy, to grow. And you wouldn't have it like I didn't have a want right now. My goal is not to become a professional athlete. That is not my want. Or my goal is not to be a stock trader. And that's not my want. Whatever it is, my want is going to be on my goal card. And my goal card, it is what's showing me what it is that I'm keeping better. I'm keeping betting. And as we start understanding it and really go deeper, it is going to change our life. But we want to accept that want is ours. Now, we just got to fuse with it. We got to burn that idea into the three parts of our personality, that is from our conscious mind to our subconscious mind, and then we're going to experience it in our physical body.
Yeah. I've set a goal before that I set for someone else, and I thought this is the goal that I probably should have. But this is the goal that my parents think would be a good goal for me, but I was never actually committed to it. I was never in love with it. And when you set a goal that is really for you, it's really what you want and nothing can stop you. And why don't you talk about turning that into a desire? I know a lot of people get hung up with turning a want into a desire.
Yeah, first thing you said it beautifully. The goal has got to be a committed goal. If it's a wish or a hope, it's not going to happen. I always ask clients, I'll say, is this a real goal or is this a wish or a hope? And I already know by now, they talk to me about their goal and I know by what their activities are. So that tells me if they don't have it, they haven't burned the idea yet. It is just sitting in their intellectual mind. So when we have a want, the best way to burn it, I'll give you a few ways you could do it, and you could do a combination of these different ways. The first one, you need to auto-suggest your goal. Basically, you say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have turned my annual income into my monthly income, for example, because we always use this example for all our workshops. I'm earning 100,000 or more a year, and I love it. I love it now. Actually, our example coming from the previous workshop is I'm earning 100,000 a year, but I want to turn into 100,000 a month. So you write, I'm so happy and grateful now that I've turned my annual income into my monthly income. I'm earning 100,000 a month or more, and I love it. Now, you say that with emotion. Remember, we shared earlier, our subconscious mind is our emotional mind. And once we can dump it in there, and the repetition of doing that over and over and over again, and have an alarm on your phone, and literally every 2 to 3 hours, it will go off, and do it for 2 minutes in a row. Then use your imagination for the next minute and just sit down and relax and see yourself at that goal and feel it. The feeling is the key. Okay, you must put your emotions into your emotional mind, and then write out your goal 50 times a day, exactly the way you said it. Write it out in as much detail as possible. Like, for example, I'm so happy and grateful now, and as you do it, you see it, you sip deep inside of your subconscious mind. You don't just write it and write it. You need to actually see it in your mind so that it will sip deep inside of you. And if you do all of these actions that we shared just now, you're gonna burn that idea. And if you do one, you could burn the idea, and you can even burn it quicker by the acceptance of the idea. And when you accept it and you say, I'm only going to think and act like that person. And if you do that for a consecutive 30 or 60 days, you are going to believe that goal, and you will believe it like you wouldn't believe it now, and you are going to fall in love with that.
That's brilliant information. Okay, so for today's assignment, and again, these assignments are so important. These action steps are going to slingshot you because it's the little things that create the mastery. Okay, so what we're teaching you is how to connect to this properly. So for today's assignment, it's all going to be about auto-suggestion, which auto-suggestion is a suggestion to yourself from yourself. And I'm going to go deep into auto-suggestion because I think most people understand the importance and the power of it. They misunderstand it a bit. So actually, has auto-suggestion helps us enter a state of flow? I believe we also get to our destination with less effort and more ease. So when we use auto-suggestion properly, and Napoleon Hill talks about it, Bob talks about it, I know it's changing Fiona's life. Auto-suggestion is the #1 tool that will help you burn what you want into your subconscious mind very quickly. Okay, so you really have to understand the importance of it. You'll never miss a day of it once you really get a great relationship with it. It's going to increase your belief. It increases ideas. Because when you practice this daily, you're going to start to embody it. And the reason why I created such an amazing relationship with it is by doing it, I spent the time doing auto-suggestion. If you practice it every day, you're going to really feel the gratitude of when you start feeling it, not just hearing it, you have to start feeling it. It will make a significant difference in your relationship towards it. So for today's #1, I want you to do is read your goal out loud for 5 minutes, okay? And the second thing I want you to do is rewrite your goals 5 times a day and attach a success advisor with your sheets written down of your goal 5 times. Now, the first step when you're reading your goal out loud, and you can do it in front of the mirror if you want, that's what Bob suggested, because when you do it in front of the mirror, you're actually looking into your own eyes. Your eyes are your gateway to your soul, and it's going to connect you to the true essence of who you are, okay? You don't have to do it in the front of the mirror though. You can listen to your favorite music to get connected to it. You can do it out loud while you're walking in nature. That's a perfect energy place. And find a way that you're going to connect to it. So you'll be consistent with it, and you want to engage all of your emotions. You have to get emotionally behind it. Use all your senses, be very visual mentally. If you're imagining your goals and as if they've already created, engage all your senses along with your imagination, the universe will then hear you, okay? And this means you must see the exact amount of money you hope to achieve and acquire. If you want to turn your annual into your monthly income, you actually have to be able to see that. You have to envision yourself performing that service. You're hearing your mind the compliments that your friends are giving you, because maybe you've realized the weight if that's part of your goals, Imagine if you want to smell, right? Maybe the new leather chairs in your office, okay? Really engage all your senses, because your subconscious mind loves that. It loves all those exciting things, and over time you're going to get to a point where you become so engaged in this and obsessed, a healthy obsession with this idea, that you know it's going to come true, because you already know in your mind that it's actually a done deal. And that's what auto-suggestion does. All right. So I want you to attach a success advisor with your goals written out 5 times, and perhaps your feelings as well when you're doing the auto-suggestion. So we are going to be back here at 12 p.m. Western Standard Time tomorrow. And remember, the replays will be here all week for you to go back and repeat and listen to, and just really start using the power of repetition. So immediately go back and watch these lessons. They'll be up for until next Monday at 11:59 Western Standard Time. But that's it for today's training, and we'll see you again tomorrow.